Hey guys, what's up? All right. Welcome for another episode of Maps Live. Just waiting for you guys to get in. When you get in, give me the customary shout out. Let me know what's up. All right, waiting for people to come in. All right. All right, we're still, as people are coming in, let me know. Don't just sit there. Give me a hello. Let me know what's up. Let me know you're at least in the building. If you don't say anything, let me know where you're coming in from, where you're calling from, or not calling, I guess, where you're. Going this way. Hey, what's up, Tar Bowie? And where are you coming in from? Mississippi, man, Mississippi. I love it. MISSISSIPPI. All right. Hi, Leslie. Okay, that's an interesting name, Tar Bowie. Hi, Candace. Back like you never left, girl. Okay, that's what's up. Okay. Let's see here. From Louisiana, but you're living in Mississippi, man. You loving the South, dude. I'm sorry, lady, dude. I don't know. Tar, is that male or female? Didn't want to offend you. Awesome. Micaiah, Mackenzie Weeks, good evening. All right, Michelle Risper, how are you? Female, I'm sorry, Tar. Female. And I'm sure Tar is short for something. But great. All right. Let's jump in here. First of all, thank you guys for tuning in. We're very, very excited and very grateful, always grateful when you take time out of your schedule to join us on live. We're going to talk tonight about when is it time to leave. We always talk about staying and trying to make it work, but let's talk about when it's a nice time to exit, your exit strategy. Hey, Shelly. Okay, Candace said, hey, Shelly. Okay, you need to figure out how to put your picture up. Go into the, I can tell you how to put your picture up. Go to the profile area. Your face is where your little icon is. Tap on it. And then there's a place that says edit. The way you put your name up, just tap on the picture and you should go right to your photo library. Give it a shot. Let's see what happens. Y'all okay? Hi, my baby at Candace. Okay, Michelle. All right, Willie James. What's up, Willie? Jeffrey. I love it when my men get in the room. All right, good stuff. I love it. All right, well, let's just jump right into it. So when is a good time to pack your bags? When is a good time to pack your bags? I know, Jeffrey, you're not talking about packing your bags because you're engaged to be married. But for some who are in relationships, is there such a thing as leaving? When you stand in front of the minister, the officiant, or whomever, and you say those vows to have and to hold, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, forsaking all others, and then you utter those faithful words, till death do us part. When you mention those words, you're pretty much making a covenant that you're going to be in this for life. All right, that there is there's no exit strategy. It's a school from which you never graduate. an army from which there is no dishonorable discharge. So when we talk about leaving, are there any circumstances under which, even though you make vows, or especially if you're just dating, this also applies for any single people out there, especially if you're just in the dating scene, are there any circumstances under which you will say, you know what, this is it? Tell me what you think. What are some circumstances? Just name a few before I jump into it. But just name a few, and they're the obvious ones that I'm not even going to say. I want you guys to take some time and think about it, and type in some obvious times when you think a relationship is over. Okay, Michelle says an abusive relationship, whether it be physical or mental, an abusive relationship. Okay, Wendy says leave when you realize you can live with the things. Leave when you, she's gonna get deep. Leave when you realize you can live with the things you don't like, because your love is always bigger than. Honey, I'm going to ask you to say that again. Leave when you... She's hollering it. Okay, no, just type it so everybody can hear you. Yeah, please type that again. My wife is in the other room and she's screaming. Tell me, I mean this. I don't know what you... I want everybody to know what you mean. Okay, adultery for sure. Okay, Jeffrey says when trust is lost. Okay, I think we all can agree on the adultery and the abuse and the physical or mental. Okay, again, I'm going to give this another shot. Leave when you realize you can live with the things you don't like. Stay when you realize you can live with the things you don't like, because your love is always bigger than that. That's when you stay, not leave. Okay. Okay. Oh, boy. Yes. When you realize that your love is, you can live with the things that you don't like. Absolutely. I agree. I agree. So let's talk about, we all know that, infidelity is a reason to leave, or, we also know that, abuse is a reason to live. And I say that intentionally because the question is that an automatic exit? Is that an automatic exit if someone cheats? Is it an automatic, okay, fine, you cheated, I'm out. Nope, no discussion. Because I know of numerous couples where there's been infidelity. I mean, in some cases, multiple infidelity. But outside of that, and outside of that, they had good relationships. It's just that there have been some indiscretions, but they still stayed. And they made it work. Under a lot of criticism from friends, they made it work regardless. So is it possible to get beyond infidelity? Absolutely. Absolutely it's possible. Is it possible to get beyond abuse? Absolutely. I know of couples right now who are happily married, who we've counseled through abuse, through physical abuse, and they managed to find out what the root of that abuse is, find out where it came from, because it's often not about the party. It's often not about the spouse or the girlfriend or the boyfriend. It's about some unresolved issues you have with your own insecurities and your own need for selfish control. Leslie says, when you see that you're the only one working on the relationship and you've done all you can, given it your best to make things work. Okay, when you see that you're the only one working on the relationship. Now, I'm going to talk about that for a second. If you both are encountering problems and you feel you're the only one working on the relationship, which in a lot of cases, it may not be the case that you're the only one working. You may be the only one who you feel is putting forth the effort, or the only one who you feel is working hard at it, or you may be the only one who you feel effort is seen. But others may be putting forth effort, they're not fighting successfully. They're not doing the things that are necessary. And as far as doing all you can, it sounds like my kids would say that. I've done all I can. We've never done all we can. We've never done we never do all we can. We never do. There's always something else we can do. Now, does that mean it's going to be successful if we do that thing? Not necessarily. But we never do all we can. But what I do understand what you're saying, Leslie, that if you're in a relationship and one person is trying to fix it and the other person has decided to go the other direction and they just decided that this ain't going to work and they have given up on the relationship, that's a different ball game. And that might be what you're alluding to, that if one person is working at it and the other person has completely given up, that's a problem. That's a serious issue, and that's something that's untenable. It's untenable. I heard this saying. I don't know how true it is, but I'm going to say it. They talked about givers and takers, and this is it's on the internet, but you can't believe everything. But this was kind of cool. They said a giver and a giver, that's erotic. A giver and a taker, that's neurotic. But a taker and a taker, that's psychotic. All right. So if you're in a relationship and you have one giving and one taking, it's going to be a problem. And if you have both parties taking, that is psychotic. The ideal situation is both parties giving. That's exotic. That's erotic. Okay, that's where you're going to have the greatest power. So if you're the only one working on the relationship, that is a problem. Jeffrey says, when both individuals have understood, they just aren't meant to be. Okay, now let's deal with that. What does that mean? You aren't meant to be. Let's talk about that. Because when you say, well, we've just grown in different directions, because I swear to you, Jeffrey, I'm telling you, we have encountered so many couples that we've talked to, well, we just growing in different directions. Look, everybody's growing in different directions because we're all different people. Every married couple grows in different directions. No one grows like this all the time, okay? A marriage, you're two individual people, two different personalities. I don't care how much you think you're alike. You're two different personalities. You're always growing like this, but you have to come together and talk and work out the rough edges so you can grow together. So you're always going to have that kind of growing apart, growing together. You have to fight to grow together. So you're always going to be growing apart. You're always going to be growing apart. Where people make the mistake is when they start making statements like, well, we just weren't meant to be, as though there's some force out there that has determined that you two are not going to make it. No, you are the force that determined that. You are the force. You've determined that you're not going to make it. So the only thing that says you aren't meant to be is you. Okay? And as far as differences being irreconcilable, if there are differences where there's abuse and one person refuses to do it, if one person is a serial adulterer and they refuse to give that up, or one person is addicted to drugs and it's something that they cannot overcome. In all of these, remember now, when you talk about for better or for worse, sometimes that is the worst. But if these things are causing you to lose a grip on your own reality, if they're causing you to be in danger, if it's causing you to feel unsafe, or if it's causing you to lose your own mental footing, then that might be something you want to consider. I'm not the guy to say, stay in the relationship no matter what. I understand. And both parties have to be convinced of that. Both parties have to make that vow that we're going to be in this till death. Wendy and I, we have arguments. Yeah, we have disagreements. Yeah, we have differences. And if we were both completely pig-headed, I say completely because we both are pig-headed, but neither of us are completely pig-headed. If we were both completely pig-headed, we would easily be pegged as irreconcilable differences. But we realize that there is a boundary, there is a place that we're not going to go. I don't care how mad we get. I don't care how whatever we get. We are not going to go to that place which says you've gone beyond the point of no return. We're not going to do it. I know I'm not going to do it. She knows she's not going to do it. So whatever problem there is, we're just going to have to work it out. Because neither of us are willing to go that direction. We're not willing to go there. We're just not. Because we understand the value of marriage. Right, in it for life. Those kinds of people are the ones who are in it till death when they realize that I'm not going to go close. I'm not going to get close to a boundary that can end this relationship. I'm not getting near that boundary. I refuse to. I don't care what it takes. I'm not going to do it. Okay? Okay, so Jeffrey says again, when both individuals understand that, okay, I'm sorry. Tara, she says, she, multiple bouts with infidelity. Yeah, I do believe infidelity is not always grounds for divorce. However, I can't fight to make someone see my relevance. You're absolutely right. So if there are multiple bouts with infidelity, there are a number of issues to consider there. One, that person is creating a number of emotional, spiritual, psychological ties with other people, not even to mention physical and sexual ties. You're creating other ties with other people. And those ties are actually taking you away from the laser-like focus you should have on your relationship. So that is the essence of adultery, is that I have frittered away my relationship with the person I'm supposed to be focused on, and I'm giving that relationship to other people. So I have already taken myself out of the marriage. Yeah, that is difficult. If there's adultery, yes. Can it be repaired? Absolutely. Can you get back in the game? Absolutely. Can you make it and still live a happily married life 20 years down the road? Yes, you can. But if you're going to keep doing that, it's like there's a scripture that talks about the dog returning to his own vomit. If you're going to keep doing that, yes, you've decided that this marriage is of no value. And Jeffrey says, what I mean is when people can't agree on anything, they are never on the same page mentally and physically. Yeah, and that's a problem. But I would suggest that if you're not saying, I know you're not talking about yourself, Jeffrey, because y'all are just lovey-dovey, which is awesome. But what I believe, and I agree with that is probably the beginning of the main issue. That's the beginning. When people can't agree on anything and they're never on the same page, there's a deeper issue. And that issue has very little to be with their personalities being compatible. It has more to be with some lack of respect, some unresolved resentment or contention that's in the marriage, some contempt you might have for one another. So I refuse to buckle. I don't feel safe giving in, so I'm going to fight against you because you are not on my side. I see you as my enemy. So I'm going to fight and I'm not going to agree. Sometimes it's easy to agree, but I'm not going to do it just on GP because no, I don't trust you. You're not my friend. You're not my spouse. I'm in this daggum marriage because I gotta be in it, but I'm going to fight you all. Yeah, that's a problem. And those people need severe counseling. I'm talking counseling. All right. I'm not talking about just sitting down and having a chat. No, you need to counsel. You need to go into a long-term thing. Okay. Because that's some resentment that has to be reversed. But you're absolutely right. That can make for a hellish existence. And most people in those circumstances will say, I'm done with it. Okay. But can it work? Yes. Can it be reversed? Yeah, it can be. But it's tough. All right. We don't want to be unhappy for life, so it's in our best interest to work it out ASAP. That's for real. However that looks, and I mean work it out, not sweep it under the rug. And that's a big thing. Look, I ain't trying to be unhappy for life, and I know everybody on here. Give me a hand clap or something if you ain't trying to be unhappy. Nobody wants to be unhappy. Come on, for life. We don't be unhappy for a day. We don't want to be in an unsatisfactory relationship, an unsatisfying relationship. We don't want to be with somebody where we're walking on eggshells. And nobody wants to live like that. Come on, Lauren. Nobody wants to live like that. Ever, ever, ever. It's the most disturbing, disgusting, and unpleasant situation that you could think of. Nobody wants that. However, we all find ourselves there at times in our lives. Why? Because if no one wants it, yet we find ourselves doing it. What is the deal? It's because there's resentment somewhere. There's contempt somewhere. Julius, this is my accountant, my one of the closest friends. He says, I want peace, tranquility, no stress, and happiness. I have that. You sure do. You sure do. Now, let me tell you something about Jules. I'm going to talk about you for a second. This is my buddy, so I can talk about him, but I ain't telling him his business. Because we both know where all the bodies are buried. But the thing is, Julius said, I'm going to have peace in my life. So he got rid of his issues, moved out of the country, and living an incredibly tranquil life, has a relationship with somebody who's completely compatible to him, and he's enjoying life. But he had to go after that. He had to go after that, you know? And I believe that's the attitude that we need to have when it comes to our own peace and our own tranquility. We have to go at it. We have to go after it. Like a dog is going after a bone after 6 weeks without eating. You got to go after it. And if you want your relationship to work, it's not just going to work by osmosis. As I always say, marriage doesn't work. People work. Marriage is simply, think of marriage as only like a receptacle, a bucket that two people get into. That's your covenant. That's it. And you in there. But if you don't work to make that thing move, it's just going to be something you in. You have to make it work. Okay, so that's how this thing works. So, but there are certain foundational issues that can cause you to want to leave. For instance, some things like if your foundation is the foundation of your marriage, someone has shifted their values, or they've changed their religious beliefs. They've shifted their values, and now their political leanings are different. Especially in nowadays, a lot of people now, if they voted conservative or they voted liberal and their partner is still what they used to be, and they shifted themselves, that can cause problems in their marriage. A lot of issues can. When you don't let things from the past go, it can make you feel as though your marriage cannot work or your relationship cannot work. If you're dating or what have you, you feel like it can't work. If you're letting past things not die, even if you've resolved them, here's a message for you guys. Once you resolve something, bury it. I'm here to tell you, if you've resolved it, bury it. I mean, put that sucker in the ground, 6 feet, throw dirt on it, and then put a rock on top of that, and then put a guard by it, so in case it tried to get out. Don't ever let it out. Once it's in the ground, let it die. Okay, let me read a couple of these comments. Wendy, pride, anger, resentment, unforgiveness. Some of the negative spirits, that people allowed to permeate their space, and it keeps them from doing what it takes to be genuinely happy. You're absolutely right. That unforgiveness thing is real. I was married for 9 years, says Todd. 6 in the marriage, 3 separated, waiting for him to sign the papers. I get that. My first marriage is like that. It was not an easy decision. I cried many nights, but I knew I was exhausted trying to wonder if, what do you say, hon? Trying to wonder if he says he's going to the store, if he's going to cheat. Oh, Jesus. I lost myself, and I knew I no longer felt safe and at peace. I was not myself. Hated who I was becoming, and hated that my home was no longer my safe place. It was tough. Yes, absolutely. And you should be supported in that. And there's nobody, nowhere, no church, no pastor, nobody who should make you feel bad about your decision. Because if it comes to a place where your safety is in jeopardy, your peace is in jeopardy, and I'm a pastor, but I dare anybody, come to me with it. Well, yeah, God hates divorce. Yeah, God hates lying. God hates lying. God hates eating too much, gluttony. God hates there's a lot of stuff now. Well, anyway, let me go on. So I appreciate you sharing that with me. Michaela said, this is why we need to do counseling. Yeah, I don't know your situation, honey. I don't know your situation. But if you feel you need to do counseling, you absolutely should. Okay? Once you feel you need counseling, you're probably already a little late for it. Okay? But still get into it. If you feel like you need counseling, do it. I'm telling you, do it. All right. We need objective parties, objective people to look at our situations and determine whether or not we are being honest, being truthful, or being crazy. We need objective people who have nothing, who have nothing tied to either side. You can look at the situation objectively and determine, okay, fine, you're wrong, or you're wrong, you're right, or you're right. You need that. Okay. Have a funeral too when you resolve. Yes, Wendy. Once you resolve, it's dead. Okay. Have a funeral, doggone it. Jeffrey said, when trust is broken in a marriage, do you think it's possible to get that same level of trust back again? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, Michaela, you are, sweetheart. I know you're talking about everyone in general. I wasn't picking on you. You're absolutely right. But back to speaking to Jeffrey, absolutely. It is able, but it's very simple, but it's incredibly difficult. I know that's an oxymoron, but just roll with me. The thing that gets trust back is consistency and openness, or vulnerability and consistency. If you want to regain trust, you must consistently be honest, open, and vulnerable so that person who's been offended can learn to trust again. The problem is that when we are trying to repair a marriage, trying to get that trust back, the offending party wants it to be repaired quickly. The offended party doesn't want to be rushed because it's almost like a death. Your old marriage is dead and your new marriage has to be reborn, has to be restarted. It's not going to go back to the way it was. It never will go back to the way it was. So can we get that trust back like before? No, it's going to be a new type of thing, a new kind of relationship. You're going to have different ways of looking at things. You're going to have a different relationship. But can it be better than before? Yes. Because with the now healed person that you are, and having overcome that trial, and now you know that there are certain things that you guys can actually overcome. You realize that you can get over some stuff. You're going to be stronger than you were before. So is it possible? Yes. Yes. Okay. When trust is broken in a marriage, you think it's possible? Yes. Have a funeral. Micaiah, I'm talking about, yes, I get you, honey. I don't mean to put nobody. I'm not talking about, I know you're not talking about. When trust is broken, if you decide to trust again, that's a deeper level of trust. It's not the same level. Yes. Tar says, oh my God, all of what you said. Yes, absolutely. But I'm here to tell you that trust is something that can be rebuilt. It is something that I'm a firm believer that forgiveness is probably one of the hardest things that we will ever do in life, is learning to forgive, learning to release people from our judgment. If you've been offended against, if you are the offender, if you are the offended, then you have to forgive the offender. If you are the offender, then you have to forgive yourself. If you are the offended, then you have to forgive. If you are the offender, you have to forgive yourself. Both are incredibly difficult, but it's possible. Forgiving yourself for the offender, forgiving yourself means that you have to release yourself from your own judgment. You see, that's what forgetting, because when people talk about forgiving and forgetting, I always laugh because there's no such thing. I'm going to forgive and forget. No, you cannot forget. You know, doctors have done experiments where they touch portions of people's brain and they remember things that they long forgotten from childhood. You know, there are people documented who said they remember their own birth. Everything that's ever happened in your life is registered in your brain. It will never be erased. You have 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years of information that's in your head, and it can never be erased. So to say you can forget something, completely impossible. The only being that can forget anything is God. He says, I'll remember your sins no more. I'll forget them. Now, when it comes to us, we will never forget, even when we forgive. That's why it's so important to say, I'm not forgetting, but I'm using that memory. Okay, I'm going to take that memory and I'm going to shelf it, put it to the side, and I'm not going to hold you responsible for that any longer. I'm going to look at you as though you're new. So right now, I'm forgiving the person, not the act. I'm forgiving the actor, not just the act. Okay? I'm forgiving the actor. And forgiving you means I forgive who you were, I forgive who you are, and I forgive the possibility that you might screw up in the future. I know. That's a lot. But if you're going to do this thing, you got to remember marriage ain't for punks. We could do this all night, but our time is up. All right? Our time is up. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. And I want you guys to please, you know what? On this coming Thursday, we will not meet. We'll be back on next Tuesday. Give you time to tell all your friends because we're starting some podcasting and I need some time to do that as well. So you stay tuned, get ready because the podcast is coming. When it comes, it's going to be incredibly awesome. So we need other nights for filming also. And then thank you. You're welcome, Willie. You're welcome. And also we have some other things happening. Please, men, Willie, Jeffrey, go to Mentoring Manhood in this app. I know you're in the app, but you're already there. Click on the Mentoring Manhood tab. Sign up. Be a part of the community. We're going to start doing some live presentations just for men in Mentoring Manhood. We're about to get that rocking and rolling, okay? God bless you guys. Y'all have an incredible night. Can't wait to see y'all next week. Take care.